Thank you, Rahul. Uh, Here we have Rahul Saxena, who's a friend from college. And thank you for agreeing to share your health story. We all have certain health stories. If we share with each other, we think we can really, it can help all of us and help us not to panic and seek medical assistance uh, after hearing such stories. So I would request you to share your health story, Rahul.
Okay, thanks, Manju. Yes, I think it's an important story to share because the consequence of having it without any treatment, follow-up treatment, would have led to perhaps loss of vision. So let me start by saying that I'm 68 and I'm going to be very soon 68, and I've never had health issues. I have some cholesterol issue, but that's under control. And other than that, I take no medicine. I just take a little bit of statin to keep it under control. And because I'm 68, and about 2 or 3 years ago, I started going for annual eye exams. I've been wearing specs from the time when you and I were together in the university. But I never had any eye issues in terms of problems with the pressure or anything like that, or vision. I do always have to wear specs. However, last year I went to my local doctor, and I live in New Jersey and share my time between Delhi and Jersey. And during the exam, Dr. Khalil, who's my doctor, uh, she examined me and said, everything looks fine, your eye pressure looks good, but there's something I want to recheck. So she didn't explain it to me, or perhaps she did, but it didn't make an impression on me because it didn't sound anything dramatic or anything serious. So she said, come back in 6 months and we'll look at it. Nothing happened in the interim. There was no other issue. And then when I saw her recently, I think it was around June, July, she said that what she had suspected is actually happening. And what she told me was that between the two chambers of the eye, behind, and I'm not a doctor, so obviously I can't speak with precision, but in the front and the back of the lens, the fluid constantly gets exchanged. And the passage through which the fluid passes has a small opening, and the regular opening size, which they measure in terms of degrees, is about 40 degrees in both eyes. It's on either side. And if that passage gets constricted, so you can imagine the fluid continues to come in, but it has no way to escape or to go to the other chamber to release the pressure and to maintain the pressure. So my pressure has been 14 or 16, which is apparently the normal level, and at a good healthy level. But she said the following. She said, look, because of the constriction that I had, so the normal degree is 40, and in my case, it was 6 degrees and 8 degrees. And I had no symptoms, 0 symptoms, meaning the pressure was fine, there was no pain, nothing like that. She said, given that it is constricted to the extent that it has gone from 40 to 6 and 8 degrees, there is a high likelihood that it could result in some spontaneous narrowing of the passage further, constricting the flow, and therefore leading to an eye pressure increase. And she said, and that's the alarming part, he said, if you don't treat that rise in pressure within 4 to 6 hours, the buildup in pressure can be so much that you can lose your eye.
So just
You can lose your vision.
yeah, Rahul, just one question because yeah, I know I think increase in high pressure beyond normal really needs to be attended to right away. So when you
Correct.
said that it went down from 40 to 6, was the
Yeah.
eye pressure still okay? It hasn't
Still
gone
okay.
down.
That's the scary part, you see. The scary part meaning that there is no symptom of pain or visible symptom or any in the form of sensation. There was no such thing. Her observation was that it is so narrow that if I'm in an area, but let's say I'm traveling, and I travel to India, as you know, quite often.
Yeah.
If I'm on a flight or I'm anywhere away more than 3-4 hours away from a hospital, happen to be, and it happens to me spontaneously, which it can happen, then the probability of losing the eye, the vision, is extremely high, and there is no, you can't reverse it. It's irreversible.
Right.
So she said, therefore, as a matter of precaution, she's going to do a small laser, YAG laser. There's a particular laser. She's going to make a hole into the near the eye, the iris.
Right.
And the procedure is called iridotomy. And I'll write it for you. Iridotomy.
Right.
Iridotomy. What they're doing with that is to create that secondary passage for the fluid to exchange, that should one get constricted, the normal passage gets constricted further, or the pressure builds up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that this one can go through. And the thing is that and it has to be done in a certain way and by a certain kind of a laser, because when you make a hole in, say, any part of the body, by the nature of self-healing that the body has, it can close the hole, correct? So the way they make the hole is important. And more importantly, the laser, because the laser then not only makes a hole, but cauterizes the area at the periphery of the hole, so that the hole never quite closes. That's the art.
So how long is this procedure? Is it a short procedure with the laser?
1 minute.
1 minute. Amazing.
So
what are the do's and don'ts after?
I'll tell you in a moment. Do you want me to share with you the picture of what she did? So they did a number of tests on me, on my eye, and just to show you, and you can sort of see it.
Right.
That's my eye.
Right.
And over here you see the green,
yes, the green
edges on the edges,
right.
on this side, and simultaneously on the other side.
Yes.
Let's say over on this
I can see
side.
both sides.
Yeah, right. So that's my lens. That is my eye lens, and the narrowing is like that. You see,
right.
if it is 40 degrees open,
right.
and if it's narrower, as it gets narrower, and as I said, it can happen because it is so narrow. Anything can trigger it, and you won't even know. So, as a matter of precaution, unless you want to always be within the vicinity of a hospital without having got it done, but we never are. We are traveling, we are sometimes away, or it could happen at night.
Or on a holiday somewhere.
Or so it can happen anywhere.
Yes.
So she said, look, you must consider getting it done. So obviously, with any surgery, one should always get a second opinion. So I work with this organization, that the eye one. So I spoke to our founder, Jordan, who's a friend also.
Vision Spring, right?
Vision Spring. And Jordan has a practice in New York, a flourishing practice that he continues from his father and so on. And he has very influential people as in his clientele. So he's a very competent doctor, besides being a friend. So I shared it with him, and I said, Jordan, what do you think? And he says, Rahul, I would consider iridectomy in both. And I tried to schedule it locally with Dr. Khalil, but she was so busy that she postponed. She sort of gave me dates for. Um, she gave me dates for um, October and November.
So two,
October
three
and November.
months down the line, yeah.
Yeah, and then the restriction was that after you get it done,
Yeah.
you must not fly for about 2 weeks, but it's better not to do it for a month
Longer time,
so that it allows it to stabilize or whatever. You feel nothing during the surgery or even after the surgery, you don't feel anything.
yeah.
But you do need to stay on the ground and go to the doctor in case you need to. So I have got, so because of the urgency, and I didn't want to wait because I'm traveling in December to Delhi. So with help of Jordan, I was able to get an appointment with a friend of his who is works in Manhattan Eye and Ear, which is probably the #1 hospital for eye in the world, and especially in the US. So I went to Manhattan Eye and Ear to a doctor called Dr. Tello, who looked at it and he reconfirmed. So I had three opinions from Dr. Khalil, from Dr. Casolo, and then Dr. Tello. And he said, well, this is what you need to do. And he does 4,000 surgeries a year. Since it's a minute surgery, he literally goes from one room to the other. And he gave me two dates. And first was a right eye, and next one was a left eye. And there is, you have to put in some eye drops like cortisone about 3 days before, and then you 3 times a day, and then you taper it off. You take it for about 3, 4 days, 3 times again after the surgery, and then you taper it down to one within a week, and then you're done.
So, Rahul, if from this experience, if we were to draw some conclusions,
Mm.
I would think one is that after a certain age, I don't know whether 65 or 60, one should get one's eyes check up at least once a year. But what is it that we should be, for this particular thing that happened to you, what is it that should we be telling the eye specialist as to look for, so they might miss it, right? So
Yeah,
what is the learning here? What is it that we tell the doctor?
right. So two things. One, while it is age related, with age it does sort of tend to narrow.
Right.
But I've had I know of at least three people. One is a very good friend of mine for the last 40 years. He's now, say, he's about 5 years older,
Right.
but he lost his eye when he was about 45
This is very sad.
to this.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't remember what it was, but he suddenly lost his eye, vision in one eye. It happened without warning, without anything, and suddenly happened. I suspect, because this happened so many years ago, and I even asked him, but he didn't quite remember the what was the trigger.
Right.
That's one. The second one is I happened to meet somebody about a month ago. We were just talking about, somebody asked me, Rahul, how's your surgery? And this man who was standing next to me, he was a good 10, 15 years, about 15 years younger, so would put him in early 50s or mid 50s. And he said that he had the buildup of pressure spontaneously. And it was so painful that he went to the doctor and got it done right away. But he also said that a year before, his doctor had said that his was narrow, that it was narrow, but nothing to be worried about,
So
unlike my doctor.
so what is it that they measure to
Mhm.
examine that whether this passage is narrowing or not? So one
Right.
lesson is of course regular checkup, and the second is of course they check the eye pressure. I think when you go for an eye
Yeah.
exam.
The eye pressure
For
is
this,
again,
yeah, for this condition, what exactly do you check really?
right. Now, I think There must be a medical term for it, which I don't remember. I just know about the procedure.
Right.
So if we sort of reverse engineer it and say, okay, what is iridotomy done for?
Right.
Then we can probably figure out the condition, the medical condition under which it sort of becomes essential to get it done.
Yeah.
But what I can say is from the picture is that you have to. So they did two things. One is obviously the pressure; they didn't find anything. But the way she picked it up
Yeah.
was through they examined the eye with a high beam of light,
Yes.
and they use a. I think they put some atropine
Did they
to
dilate the
widen,
eyes?
to dilate,
Dilate, yes. Okay. Yeah.
and they use a lens
Right.
that they put on their own eye to
Yes.
magnify it.
Yeah.
That's one. But then to confirm the condition, she did an ultrasound. So they have a little thing that actually, just
Yeah.
like you do it for any other parts of the body, except
Yes.
that that whole device is very big.
Yeah.
This one is very much like, I think, a
So
pen.
I think what I hear from you is when this test, when we go for a test, we
Hmm.
should ask this question, knowing that it's age related, that should also check the passage width, which is normally 40, right? In
Correct.
normal terms, to see
Hmm.
whether there is any constriction or any worry in
Narrow.
that aspect. Yeah, any narrowing of the passage.
Yeah, it's the narrowing which is the indicator.
Right.
So I think, and that narrowing can be picked up and photographed
Yeah.
through um, the ultrasound, from what I remember. So they'll do an ultrasound and you'll see the image, or maybe they have another camera of sorts that which I'm sure is available all over the world. It's not, I don't think it's such a, it was done like in a regular, it's not like an X-ray room.
Yeah.
It's just like in a doctor's
No,
examination.
I mean, I'm sharing my health episode also on the same platform, and I call
Mm.
it Health Stories Speak because I think every health story speaks. And
Mm.
for me also, they did the dilation, the ultrasound. So, it's the same when they do a detailed test, they dilate the
Correct.
eyes. And I did share this personally with you, but also I want to share with everybody else because it's interesting that all these things are normal, age related. And yet, when it happens to one of us, uh, the other one says, "Oh, I didn't know this."
Yeah.
It happened to so many friends telling me that either it happened to them and they
Mm.
didn't know when it happened to them, or it hasn't. A lot of them said, "We didn't know this." I mean, I have no idea that this can happen. What you just told me.
Yeah. I had no clue.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I had to change my plans for travel. I was supposed to go um, for a vacation, but this became priority.
Yeah.
And I still have a checkup after having got both the eyes done, a checkup on 16th of November, which is, I do have my feeling is that my right eye is completely clear. And on the left eye, I've sometimes when I look at a particular angle down or something, I feel that there is like a hair, like thin strand somewhere. So maybe it's when they do laser in the eye, sometimes there is a what is they call scar tissue that can
Right.
form. So I don't know. I have no problems reading, doing anything. There's no pain. There's nothing at all.
So
And
it's yeah, excellent to know, Rahul, about this. And as you said, it's age related, so we all must watch out for it.
where
So
the probability rises,
yes, it is.
Manju, the problem is that it can happen to young people. That was the reason I spoke about those two people
Oh,
who
yes.
and okay. So recently, a friend of my daughter in Germany, he is mid-30s or late 30s. He just lost his eye
Yes.
vision to this,
Yeah. I do
and
feel this.
without a warning.
Yeah.
So I think while it is age related, the probability of having this problem gets heightened.
Yes.
But I think, um, given where we are in terms of age, it's essential that at least once or twice a year we get this examined. And for this particular ailment, okay, because it doesn't come with any warnings. And the other thing is that after you get it done, you want to make sure that the hole they make in your eye remains open and doesn't sort of develop a scar tissue to block out, the passage again. So that's my story, and I've told everyone in my family that, look, get this done. Everyone got pretty scared by my experience, and I'm lucky in that my doctor was smart enough to pick it up and get it done.